So, I was out with the dog again. It was the last weekend of February, so I decided to take the Canon A1 and some ILFORD HP5 Plus out for 2 walks. One around Porthkerry Country Park and the other Raglan Castle. It was my first time shooting black and white, and when I received the images back from the lab, well, I thought they were a bit meh. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So here's a video of me almost critiquing it, and also a display of what I took, what I like, what I dislike. I hope you enjoy. Remember to give this a like, and remember to hit that subscribe. Let's get cracking on. You're always told in film photography, it teaches you to slow down, to take in the moment and to really take a deep breath before you take your shot. This is definitely something I need to get used to doing more. So on that note, let's get started with Porthkerry Country Park. I should note, didn't get any B-roll for this, as it was before I even considered opening a channel. Located in coastal South Wales, it is home to 220 acres of wood and meadowland, leading into a pebble beach with cliffs. Instead of taking the usual nature shots, the thing that drew me here was the railway viaduct. Opened in January 1900, the 16-arched bridge connects Cardiff to Bridgend. I parked at the Cold Nap Beach, 3 kilometres to the east, and started walking. This is where I took my first shot, looking back onto the parking area and town of Cold Nap. For my first ever black and white film shot, I think it ain't half bad. I like how the coastline disappears into the distance, as if the sky and horizon do not meet. Perhaps an orange filter on the lens could have given me more of a definitive tone between the two, but I don't know. Also, a nice bit of layering on this one, if I do say so myself. As I hiked up the hill, there wasn't really anything particularly interesting to photograph, so 3 kilometres later, I made it to the country park. Starting on the pebble beach, I had to take an obligatory dog picture. I proceeded to take 2 from this angle, one for some reason portrait and the other landscape, so let's start with the portrait picture. How the sun casts the shadows on the pebbles is like something that I like. The texture makes it seem almost like you could run your hands along it and feel it. This is also a good example of the rule of thirds principle. The stone in the lower third, sea and hills being the middle, and the sky being the top. Then we have this one. It's the same, but different. Again, rule of thirds on point. The rocks don't look as textured on this one, however, and it was such a bright day, for once in Wales that is. The sky, again, isn't as contrasting as it is in any of my colour films. For example, this one, taken on my nearly 100-year-old camera. There's a million things I could critique about this, to be honest, but that's for another day. Moving towards the park, we went along the wooden paths, heading towards the viaduct, where I took this. I don't know if you can see, but I, for whatever reason, decided to focus up on the sign in the bottom right corner of the picture. That being said, this is one I did actually like. I like the lone tree on the right and how the path looks like it just leads to nowhere. I think the texturing of the water is also quite aesthetic. I did try and get another obligatory dog picture, but I don't like it. She's underexposed, there's a weird lens flare, and the focus is slightly off. I do, however, like how the trees in the background merges with the one in the foreground, or at least it looks like it does. Following on from this, I then approached the viaduct where I took this one. This is another that I'm not a huge fan of. I think the trees are blocking a lot of the subject area, which is the viaduct. And it's annoying that they have to do this, but you know, it's natural. So walking on, I took this. This one I do like a little bit more. The viaduct on this one almost looks like a model, like it's fake. The rugged ground, and although I just said I didn't like them, the trees also looks like I could be in some sort of apocalypse film. After taking this, I went closer and took what I think was the best of this shoot. Annoyingly, the sun was very bright on this day, which it does tend to be, you know, but there's a massive blob of light in the corner, also known as the sun. However, I think the subject on this one is on point, with the cars below making the viaduct look towering over it. I think this is the best one of the day. After this, we grabbed a drink and headed on back on quite an interesting journey. Before we reached the car, we stumbled upon a lake and park, which I took a few of these pictures. Although quite a boring picture, I particularly like this with the plane and the bird being both up in the sky, looking similar sizes when obviously in reality they are not. I didn't really like this one, but friends of mine did, saying that it's like a tunnel into the future. This was taken in an archway of what I think was a Tudor house, now patches of stone on the side of the road. It's actually grown on me since. I just wish I stood a little bit more to the left to centralise it a bit more. Overall, some okay pictures, not my favourites, but I also don't think they're my worst. Not after the shoot that I did over at Raglan Castle next. So, Raglan Castle is a late medieval castle north of Raglan in Monmouthshire. The castle dates between the 15th and 17th centuries and defended itself during the siege of 1646 during the First English Civil War, and also once housed Henry Tudor before he became Henry VII. On a beautiful sunny afternoon, maybe too sunny for the ILFORD, I once again brought the dog along to take some pictures. Pictures I have gone on to dislike. I realise I actually only took 8 pictures here, as when I was there, I reloaded the film to some expired Ektachrome to experiment with, but when I got it developed, £20 later, it came back blank. So, without further ado, let's get the worst ones out of the way with. Why didn't I move a few paces to the left and really centralise it? And why didn't I slow down and wait for the people to leave the subject? I don't know. And why did I think shooting into bright blue sky would be a good idea? Now, on to the 2 window shots. On this one, why didn't I step back a little bit? I don't know. But I do actually kind of like this one. Using the window stone as a frame inspired me to take the next one too. I think I chose the aperture well and got the focus spot on, but like the Porthkerry ones, the sky was far too bright for this, making the hills look like cardboard cutouts in front of a bright backlight. This one I do like, how the light blooms out the window, how you can see the full window frame, and how the tree in the midground is almost perfectly centred. But talking about centred, I wish I did move a few inches to the left and align that window up perfectly in frame. But people may like the wonkiness, but I like the dead-on straightness of the framing. I did take one on my phone as well as comparison, which I'll put on the screen now. This one, I like the texturing of the old stone and the shadows on it and how it hits the stone. Again, it almost looks like a cardboard cutout, when in reality it is just a few 100-year-old massive part of a castle wall. It almost seemed boring at the time, but in hindsight, I think this picture is quite decent. And finally this one. Not my favourite, but I like the scale of the building compared to the 2 people on the bridge. Not my best work, however, and I can't quite put my finger on why I don't like it. Like I said as well, I did take about 20 more shots on the Ektachrome, but they didn't come through. So, overall, if I was to choose 4 from the 36 I'd choose these 4. There's obviously a few more that I haven't shown on here, either duds or straight up rubbish. I do admit, I did enjoy my time taking the film, visiting these places literally on my doorstep, one of which I haven't even visited before, and getting out and about, which I guess that's what it's all about really. I think I need to do a lot more practice with the controls of the camera before heading out again. I also think, as bad as it sounds, I need to choose a more dark and gloomy day. I want to see more texture in the sky and actually be able to see the sky. Perhaps invest in an orange filter for the lens. That being said, my Pentax P30 and Kodak 620 are both loaded with black and white film at the moment, sat by the side of me, needing to be sent off for development. That is for another time. I've also got planned a night shoot with some ILFORD Delta 3200. I already tried it with the Kodak camera, however, it was a bit of a flop. The trigger kept getting stuck and not exposing it for long enough, or not making the noise, and actually shooting and deceiving me. So I did it again and it just took a double exposure. But practice makes perfect, and it's all about experimenting at this point in my film journey. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Go check out the other stuff. Remember to subscribe and like the video. And I'll see you next time. See you later.